We now come to the final award for this evening. And befitting this 20th anniversary, this one is reflective of all the IAS has stood for these past 2 decades. Indeed, what I'm about to present truly stands as the 20th anniversary Freedom Medal winner. On the one hand, it's because it's an individual who has relentlessly worked across all sectors where LRH Tech is employed and for which Freedom Medals are earned. Religious freedom, overcoming governmental oppression, bringing an end to psychiatric abuses, injecting LRH Tech into society, and disseminating Scientology itself. Yes, the whole panoply. But that really doesn't say it all. For the real picture, I return to what I referenced at the start of this evening. Responsibility. In keeping Scientology working, LRH laid down the standard. When somebody enrolls, consider he's joined for the duration. That is the responsibility every Scientologist has. We all know it, and while it may sometimes be hard to confront, the fact remains it is our responsibility to be Scientologists, no matter where we live or work, no matter our resources or excuses. If you are a Scientologist, you are one of the relative few that hold the answers in your possession that all humankind depend upon. But you don't sit on the only answer that's ever been there. You don't ever give a second thought to the personal stakes involved. But now let's take it one step further. How much responsibility can one take? Look at it this way. If a Scientologist is a street sweeper, it is his responsibility to apply Scientology to his zone and whoever he may interact with. And no, it's not an option, not if he's a real Scientologist. And when his head hits the pillow each night, he'd better know he did all he could. Yes, all manner of reasons could exist to not do so, but let's face it, he might be able to fool others, but not himself. Similarly, a housewife has the same responsibilities for her family and extending out to the school her children attend and so forth. Then again, a corporate executive. It isn't a matter of simply being a wise member or a this member or a that member. When you stepped on the path and had your first cognition, you also became a part of the urgent mission to carry it forth. But let's take it another step. How much does one have to do to take responsibility for doing all he can? It's easy to see that the zone of influence of the corporate executive could be greater than the housewife, which in turn could be greater than the street sweeper. That may not seem fair, but neither is life. And it has zero to do with what others might say. No, it rests on one's own shoulders, and it's the individual himself who must know he's doing his part and all he can do. After all, you have to live with yourself, and when your head hits your pillow, it is you who you must live with. Bearing that in mind, the street sweeper, the housewife, the corporate executive, well, what happens when your zone of influence is the global stage? How much must one do to call themselves a Scientologist? How much so that when their head hits the pillow, they can live with themselves, knowing they did all they could do? That is our final story this evening. It's a story that affects every Scientologist, for all of us are the beneficiaries of what he presents. And that is why it is my honor to present our first Freedom Medal of Valor to the most dedicated Scientologist I know.
There is a worldwide arena where the game is played for the fate of whole populations. Where one side schedules entire generations for psychiatric drugging and marks 5 million more for lethal, toxic exposure. Also on the board, scores of nations where no workable technology will even be permitted. And plans in play to keep people so re-stimulated they can barely envision a future, much less consider the eternal scope of Scientology. But there's someone on the other side of that global arena, someone advancing Scientology on a fully epic scale to a very different future. And he is Class 4 OT7, Platinum Meritorious, and IAS Freedom Medal of Valor winner, Tom Cruise!
The biggest movie star in the world.
The biggest film star in the world.
The biggest movie star in the world, and a really, really nice guy.
Let's all take a deep breath because Tom Cruise is here!
The killer, Tom Cruise!
The man, the legend, Tom Cruise!
And while it doesn't get any hotter than under the lights on a global stage where every move translates into countless impressions, what he does on that stage is another matter entirely. For with that kind of influence also comes an individual responsibility, experienced by only the rare few in history. And for those who own up to it, well, that's the story of Tom Cruise, Scientologist.